Wednesday Palaver. Today we are going to be discussing a topic which must worry us, a topic which is about us, and a topic which is good for the future of this country and certainly for the future of the whole world. We're going to be talking about COVID-19, and we're going to be talking about the politics of COVID-19. We are going to be talking about the financing of COVID-19 programs and so on. And we're going to be talking in particular about the allegation that Ghana bought vaccines or attempted to buy vaccines of for COVID-19 above the stipulated price. We're talking about the Sputnik V produced in Russia. We are told that the real cost was $10 per vaccine, and we arranged to buy it through middlemen for $19. What went into it? Who is telling us the truth? Who is not telling us the truth? What are the analyses? And today, we have a ranking member of the Health Committee of Parliament, Honorable Minta Akando, with us in the studio to lead the discussion. I'd like to give you a rundown of how this program is going to go. You're going to have Honorable Akando give us an analysis which should last about 20, 25, 26 minutes. And thereafter, we're going to come to the studio audience for your questions and comments. And then we move from there to our social media pages and take comments, suggestions, questions from those who will join us on social media. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome to the microphone Honorable Minta Akando.
Thank you very much, Angokosi Pratt, and ladies and gentlemen. As has already been introduced, we are going to look at how we signed an agreement with a sheikh from Dubai to purchase a dose of Sputnik 5 at $19. And let me start by saying that in an era of a pandemic, any decision you take and the time you take the decision are all very important and critical. I will use this example. At a point in time, we wanted to do testing at our airport. That's the Kotoka International Airport. And so the best we could do was to give that contract to a private company. Some of us spoke about the idea that at least when this pandemic broke out, Noguchi Memorial Institute was at the forefront of this testing. So if anything at all, as a government institution, we could have given this contract to them so that it could rake in some revenue which will inure to the benefit of the country in future. Ladies and gentlemen, this contract was given to a company called Frontier. And as I speak to you, within 4 months, they have raked in millions of dollars, about $17 million. You have no idea what this money could have done for Noguchi. It could have helped in sequencing the genetic identity of this virus, who could have raked in more revenue to the state. But unfortunately, this money is going into private pockets. The timing and the decision was wrong. What worries me most is that sometimes we wait for an emergency situation and then the government milks the situation. Oh, we are not in normal times. We are not in normal. We hide behind that phrase and do our own things. Again, be informed that before Parliament, especially before the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, what we found out was that from the 2021 budget, per what is here, we have spent not less than 19 billion Ghana cedis in the fight against COVID. We couldn't use part of the 19 billion Ghana cedis to set up a lab, a testing center at Kotoka International Airport. The best we could do was to dash it to a private company. 19 billion Ghana cedis. Out of the 19 billion Ghana cedis, the Ministry of Health, which was at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19, was able to account for only 600 million Ghana cedis, less than 1 billion Ghana cedis. As I speak to you now, we don't know where the more than 18 billion is. We've made strong argument to that effect, but we still don't know where and how it was spent. Irrespective of that, we still have some front-line health workers who in their line of duty contracted the virus and died, and they have not been given anything as I speak to you now. Irrespective of the amount we have spent, some of the frontline health workers still have their allowances not paid. Yet we have spent about 19 billion Ghana cedis in the fight against COVID-19. Now, let's move to how we signed the agreement to purchase a dose of Sputnik 5 at $19. Ladies and gentlemen, at the budget estimate, the minister responsible for finance appeared before the committee and requested us to approve money for the purchase of these vaccines. In the deliberations, he made it clear to us that they were not going to buy a dose of any vaccine more than $10. So that was what we based our deliberations on and approved for the ministry. The ministry targeted about 20 million people to be vaccinated. 20 million Ghanaians to be vaccinated. Now, after approving the lump sum of money for the ministry, what was expected of the ministry was that if there was going to be any international agreement, the agreement must then come back to Parliament for ratification or for approval. Unfortunately, we didn't hear anything from the ministry again. In fact, at the time, we gave clear directive that the minister must appear before the committee intermittently to update the committee on any and every happenings as far as the COVID-19 fight is concerned. Now, I was there and I had a call from a Norwegian journalist that he wanted to engage me. Truth be told, I was hesitant until he came with a Ghanaian journalist. So after listening to them, I realized that he was in a good mission. So I opened up. He requested to know what I know about the purchase of the Sputnik 5. I gave him my side of the story. The long and short of the story is that it's been revealed that Ghana signed an agreement with a sheikh from Dubai to purchase a dose of Sputnik 5 at $19 when Sputnik 5, the manufacturer, had issued a press statement in Russia indicating that a dose of Sputnik 5 in any part of the world should not be sold more than $10. Should not be sold more than $10. But before that, there are two very important and critical issues here. Number one, vaccines are not like tomatoes where anybody can buy at any given time and any market. Vaccines are very delicate medications. This is not the first time Ghanaians are buying vaccines. But in Ghana, we don't have any history whatsoever buying vaccines from middlemen. Vaccines must be bought from the right sources. WHO has clearly warned that any country dealing with middlemen as far as these vaccines are concerned risk getting substandard vaccines. And this is very critical and very important. If you are not very careful and we go to the market to buy any substandard vaccines to vaccinate our people, we get some false sense of hope, false sense of security, and that is even more dangerous than you not taking the vaccines at all. So middlemen in vaccines are very, very, very dangerous. I spoke to a professor, and what he told me was that, Honorable, on the face of it, if you look at the vaccines and the distilled water on the face of it, you will not be able to distinguish between the two. And therefore, that is the more reason why we should be very, very careful and protect the vaccines. Now, instead of government dealing with government to government, all we are doing at the moment is engaging middlemen to get us the vaccines. When we requested to know why government was not dealing with another government, especially the government of Russia, the ministry issued a press statement telling us that they have made the attempt, but it hasn't yielded any fruit. For your information, yesterday myself and the ranking member on Foreign Affairs Committee requested to meet the deputy head of mission of the Russian embassy in Ghana. They willingly opened their doors for us. We had a very fruitful deliberations with them. If Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who has been the minister for foreign affairs before and present day president of the Republic of Ghana, cannot use his links to speak to Russia government to secure us vaccines, then we have a problem as a country. We all know the relationship between Ghana and Russia. The Ghana-Russia axis, our relationship with Russia, our relationship with Cuba, our relationship with China, and what have you. Today, Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana cannot speak or negotiate on government to government or government to the manufacturer. Interestingly, Sputnik 5 is developing another vaccine called Sputnik Light. Now, the Sputnik 5, you take 2 jabs, 2 doses. Sputnik Light is 1 jab. Now, in the whole world, Sputnik has decided to do the clinical trials in Ghana. So Sputnik, the manufacturer that Ghana government is looking for on the globe, that they cannot find them, they are right here in Ghana. They've gone through our institutions, they've gone through FDA, and FDA has cleared them, and they are starting clinical trials in Ghana. Yet we can't get vaccines from them. Yet we can't get vaccines from Sputnik. So we think that government must set up. Another emergency situation is that, as I speak to you, we have about 600,000 Ghanaians who have taken AstraZeneca as their first jab. We don't have AstraZeneca available in the country. They've taken just the first jab. There hasn't been any studies whatsoever which indicate that you can miss the vaccines. Now, if we are not very careful, these people with time are going to lose their immunity. And the aim of the vaccination, the mass vaccination, is to achieve herd immunity. If we are not very careful and we don't go at a pace in order to achieve the herd immunity at a point in time, if we don't achieve the herd immunity, the exercise will be in vain. The exercise. In fact, according to the ministry's own plan, this document is the COVID-19 Vaccine Development and Vaccination Plan. They are supposed to vaccinate more than 7.9 million people by 2nd of June. It's in their document. Unfortunately, as I speak to you, we have not been able to vaccinate more than 1 million people in this country. And so it's worrying. If you all remember, at a point in time, we all heard that, oh, there are some people from Dubai who are coming to donate Sputnik 5. And the minister met them at the Kotoka International Airport. They took pictures and they made fanfare. They were the very people who are going to sell a dose of vaccine to us as $19 per dose. There are people who claim that, oh, we've not paid anything, and so there's no cause of alarm and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, we've made commitment. LCs they are as good as cash. We've made commitment. We think that, we in the minority think that this contract is unconstitutional, and it's unconstitutional because it is international in character and it has not been brought to Parliament for any ratification or approval. It's unconstitutional and therefore must be declared null and void, must be brought back to Parliament for us to together think through it and have a way of getting vaccines to vaccinate our people. I am clear in my mind that if today we decide to contact the right sources, the manufacturers, some of them are willing to give us vaccines. What some of the serious countries were doing, and I don't know why we always want to be part of the West story and not the good story. Why can't we compare ourselves to Rwanda, Kenya, and South Africa? What they were doing was that even before the manufacture of those vaccines, they had done deposits. In Ghana, all we were doing was, we were talking. Oh, we are going to vaccinate 20 million people without mentioning a farthing, a cedi that we were going to use to purchase. All we were doing was to wait for a situation where people will come and donate vaccines to us without us going to buy from the international market. As I speak to you now, Ghana is a member of the executive board of the WHO. We joined this year. If we cannot use all these links to secure vaccines for our people, then we have a long way to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I will pause here so that if you have any questions, I will gladly attempt to answer them. I'm most grateful.
Well, we've listened to the Honorable Akando, ranking member of the Health Committee of Parliament, and this is the time for the studio interaction. So we'd like to know those of you in the studio who like to ask questions, who like to make comments, whatever, please show by hand, and then we shall do that. But we'll start with you, we'll come to you, and then we'll come to you, and then we'll go to you, and then we'll go to you. So that's the order in which we're going to have the questions and the comments. But just one interesting thing. The Minister for Health, in one of his encounters with the media, indicated that Ghana was going to buy the Sputnik V, or Sputnik 5, for $19, because part of the money was going to cover storage, transportation, and so on. And he indicated that the COVID vaccine was quite sensitive and needed to be preserved properly. I've done some checks, and to my shock, what I found out was that the Russians actually produced the Sputnik V in powdered form, and does not need special refrigeration and so on. I'm just wondering where the minister got his facts from. Because it's very, very strange. I mean, they produce it in powdered form. So this stuff about refrigeration and so on, where is it coming from? In any case, time for questions, time for comments from the audience. We start with Jay.
Right, thank you so much. I'm Justice Appiah. Honorable, in your submission, you mentioned that you sought for explanation from the ministry as to why they didn't deal with the Russian government directly than to have gone in for a middleman. Also, you've stated that you met some, Russian officials on this matter. I want to find out what was the outcome. What did they tell you? Did they tell you that government indeed, consulted the Russian government, but they did not get any info or whatsoever, or they didn't do that at all? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I am Rubinado. My question is, why would government contract a middleman to acquire, a product of such sensitive nature, when of course they should have used the right mechanism? Was it a case of political expediency, or was the interest taken in the best for Ghana?
Thank you very much, Honorable. I am Daniel Kwabna Asari, and I have two questions in one sentence. What really triggered the government to buy the Sputnik 5 at $19 and through middleman procedure? And the company, the Russian company, they are building here to build our vaccines for us. Has it come to stay or not? Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Honorable, I just want to ask one thing about the minority. Are you angry enough? Because it's like the minority, they just come, they talk, there is no action. Honorable, I want you to go to the ground and see what is happening. Because you are our speakers. The way things are going, because this government, anything that he does, he won't no feel out of it. This vaccines is selling $10 and you are giving us to what? $19. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is George Osenvine, Honorable. I have two questions. One, I just want to know the contribution by the minority caucus in Parliament on health and the locally manufactured vaccines that we are told that they are going to start production in Ghana. That's one. And then two, is about suppose the second phase of the vaccines that are in, we're told that it has some kind of health complications. How true is that report? Thank you.
Good evening, comrades. I am Hamza. I've got something for my honorable member. One, you told us you met with the minister and he was not emphatic. He could not tell you the truth. But I don't know why even in the first place you people passed him as you made him go through as a minister, because this was somebody who, when you questioned him on the vetting, the amount that was being received at the airport, the vaccine, what do you call it, the people coming in, he says he has no knowledge of the people receiving those monies. One. Two, you see, for Nanado, I don't know what to say, because it seems his level of negotiations is dead. Because, why am I saying so? When Ghanaians were killed in the Gambia. He could not even go there to do anything. So I don't think he could sit down with the Russians to do. And the other side of it was that because it is Russia, and you know, Ghana had a long relationship during the time of Kwame Nkrumah. And because of that, they don't want to go even nearer to them. You see. 3, so upon all what has happened, is it pertinent or is it good for Ghanaians even to go in for this, what do you call it, inoculations? Because it can even lead to death, mass death. Because we don't know whether the vaccines are authentic. You see. And you, the minority, you call yourself minorities, 37, 137, 137. I don't know how you became minority. But if you have given that title to yourself, so be it. I don't know why you cannot hold them responsible. I mean, that we have been seeing other parliaments. You see, when even you were in a minority before 2020, you were able to shake them. Why now? At least we should be proactive.
Well, at this stage, we would like to invite to the microphone again Honorable Minta Akando to deal with the questions which have been raised. And we are hoping that one of the producers of the show, Loretta Nade Ashi, will be getting ready with the messages on social media. Honorable Akando.
Thank you very much for your questions and contributions. The first question was somebody was requesting to know the outcome of the conversations or the meeting we had with the people in the Russian embassy. If you know a bit about diplomatic relations, it's sometimes very, very difficult to be able to go open on discussions you have with such diplomats. It only guides us. So sometimes we are not able to put out some of these conversations, but it will guide us going forward how we can pursue some of the things we are doing. So it will not be appropriate for me to put some of these issues on this platform. But I can assure you, and I can say on authority that anything they stated in their press release regarding the attempt they've made to engage the Russian government is false. That I can tell you. Then somebody was also asking me why the government will engage middlemen to purchase the vaccine. This question, I wish Ajima Manu was here to answer this question. But you see, there's a school of thought that somebody wants his kickback, and therefore it doesn't make sense to buy something even at $10 and then decide to sell it at $19. Even if it will go above $10, it shouldn't be about 90% increment. It doesn't. And so probably somebody wants to take advantage of the situation. I think the third question was about the same thing. What triggered government to buy the Sputnik 5 at $19? So the Russian company, whether or not the Russian company is in to stay or not, they are actually, they are not here to produce the vaccines here. They are here to do clinical trials in the country. And they've gone through FDA and they've been cleared to do the clinical trials in Ghana. Yeah, so after their clinical trials, I think that they will leave to their country to do other things. They've not established whether or not they are going to open up a company here in Ghana. And in fact, all the vaccines we know so far and that has been registered in Ghana, we haven't done clinical trials in Ghana. So even as I speak to you now, the period of the immunity Some say 6 months, some say 9 months. And you know, for me, the way I see this thing, if the COVID has come to stay, it is not going to be one-off vaccination. Because if the expiring date or the period of the immunity is going to stay for like 6 months or 9 months, it means after the 6 months or the 9 months, you should take in something again. So that one too. Somebody also asks whether or not we are angry enough. We are angry, and I'll tie it in with why we are not able to shake them and all that. You know, as Parliament, we have some tools available to us. For example, if you even file a question on the floor of the House for the minister to come and answer. Today, we experienced a similar thing on the floor of the House. Honorable Kujata Blakwa filed a question to ask about our presidential jet, why the president didn't use that one and opted for a more luxurious one, £15,000 per hour. You realize that the answers the minister gave on the floor of the House didn't make sense. But our rule says that the questions cannot provoke even debate. So whether the answers provided make sense or not, that is the answer per the rules. What else would you do? Probably, if you may want to go to court, something like that. So we also have our limitations sometimes. So when you go for a wrong group of people to mind the helms of affairs, sometimes you may have to endure some of these things for 4 years. So we are angry, and we'll go to the bottom of this matter till the real truth is established. Then somebody was asking about the health implication of the vaccines. I am not here to go into the technical aspect of it, so that one I may want to leave it out for now. Yeah. And then why did you decide to pass the minister? That's another big question I hesitate to answer on every platform, because I have apologized on several times on several platforms that we didn't meet the expectation of Ghanaians with regards to the approval of some ministers. And so on several platforms, in this studio, on this television, I've rendered my unqualified apology, so I wouldn't attempt to justify it. I think that we didn't meet the expectation of Ghanaians. Whether or not it is good to go for the vaccines. As for vaccines, if it is from the right source, I would encourage everybody to go for the vaccines. If it is from the right source. If our government will deal with government or manufacturers, I would encourage, look, the COVID is still with us, it's not gone. And you see, anytime the numbers go down, we go to sleep. After the first wave, we went to bed. The government went to bed, only to be surprised by a second wave. After the second wave, from that time till now, it looks as if we are not doing anything again. Now, experts are saying that there's a looming third wave. And so, brothers and sisters, let us be very careful. Let's take all the protocols, the COVID protocols. Let us adhere to them. Do not look at the irresponsibility of the president and say, oh, after all, the president is even attending funerals and filing past, COVID-infected dead body, and so I can also do whatever I like. Please, do not adhere to the COVID protocols because you want to abide by some law. Do it because you want to protect yourself. COVID is real, it's not gone. The last time I checked, the numbers are increasing. The numbers are coming up again. There are people who have taken the fair jab, still they are getting COVID. And so I will encourage everybody to take the vaccines if you get the opportunity. I think these are the questions I was able to capture. Thank you very much.
Well, it's time to shift to our social media platforms, and it is indeed my pleasure to invite to the podium Loretta Nade Ashi, one of the producers of the program. Loretta.
Good evening, viewers. Abdul Basit says, good program. And he continues to say, thank you, Honorable, for exposing the lies of MPP and Akufo Atrofo Addo Nebuchadnezzar. Please, Honorable, take off your marks. We can't hear you clearly. Wow. The COVID is still around, so it's good he's still having his marks on. In fact, the actions and the inappropriate administration of this MPP government is now the government has agreed on the $19 instead of $10. Now what's next? Are we going to see a legal action as we have seen in Malawi? What is the minority doing? Are we going to court? No name. Good evening, Honorable. Please, in terms of the pandemic, like COVID-19, government is still looking for profit upon the 19 billion amount used. Basil Boo. It's not very clear. Good evening, comrades. This government is not serious. All they do is talk a lot and do so little. From Kwesi Biri Bibieni. It's not for nothing that Ghana was blacklisted for money laundering. We have now entered international black marketing raids only under Nana Akufo-Addo's leadership. That has monumental records of corruptions are set. Anthony Mensah, Accra. For love of money, societal members are being taken to the gallows to be slaughtered. How genuine is the source of the Sputnik vaccine being purchased? Rise up against the Medros government. Anthony Mensah says, government dealing with 419 middlemen to acquire vaccines for the country. This is a disgrace. From Alaji Haruna Ashaima. I think I'll end it here. Thank you.
Well, if there are any more questions and concerns, we'd like to take them before the Honorable Akando comes to the microphone. Any more questions, concerns, whatever? Yes, please. Anybody else? Yes, please. Anybody else? So we have two more questions or comments. So we start with you and then we come to you. And then the Honorable Akando will come to the microphone. The Honorable Akando will come to the microphone and respond to everything.
Okay, good evening for the opportunity. Honorable, I wanted to find out, we know that the minority constituted a COVID-19 team too. So with this Sputnik V vaccine that the minister is saying, have you also done your checks to see whether there are other options that are lower so that they can also, you can recommend it for the government to have a look at it? Thank you very much.
Honorable, now we've come to the reality that the vaccine is in. So whether it's for our own good or not, we would be forced to take it at all costs. I'm looking at the efficacy with what we are hearing. How sure are we that if we take this vaccine, it would contribute to our well-being so far as this pandemic is concerned? And I'm a bit worried about the government's approach to how the vaccine was procured. If you have the welfare of the nation at heart, why would you approach a middleman or perhaps a third party to get it for your citizen when you know for sure that there is a right channel.
Hey, good evening, comrade. Honorable, please, the comrade asks you, how do you people become a minority?
Honorable, I'm back again. You see, you are saying that you are advising us to go for the vaccine. You have told us that the WHO has warned all countries to make sure they deal with countries, not middlemen. And here's the case, we have now gone in for a middleman. How sure are we that what the middleman will be bringing to us is authentic? And now, if you advise us to take this vaccine and then something happens,
What should we do to you?
that is that. That is that.
Honorable, I just want to ask, have these people, have they bought the vaccine at $19? Or are they now going to purchase the vaccine? That is my worry. Because if they've bought the vaccine at $19 as a minority, what are you going to do to them? Because that's a lot of money. Imagine 30 million times $19. Look at the amount of money they are getting. So, Honorable, have they bought the vaccine or they are not going to purchase those vaccines for us? Thank you.
Okay. Somebody asked whether or not there's going to be a legal action against government if they go ahead with the $19 per dose. We will explore those avenues because clearly there's even a bit of it that any agreement of international character must come back to Parliament. And so we have just started the journey. So if we get there and there's a need for us to, take a legal action against government, we will not hesitate to do that. We will do whatever it takes to protect the people of this country. We'll do our best. The second one also had to do with whether or not we've considered other options, and we think that there are other lower prices that we can get in the international market. I've already indicated to you that there's a press statement to that effect from the Sputnik people themselves, indicating that we shouldn't buy it above $10. In fact, if you are going to buy it in bulk, you even get it lower than $10. It's just like I sell rice. So if I decide to sell my rice at 35 cedis per 5 kilos, that is what I will put out in order to protect the price of my product. So I'll say 35, nobody should buy at 35 Ghana cedis. But anybody who is coming to buy from me to go and sell, I'm not going to give it to the person at 35 Ghana cedis. I'll give it to the person at a lower cost. So all this argument of we'll do shipment, we'll do that, and so that is the ex-factory price and all that. Even if that is the case, assuming without admitting, you go and buy something at $10, and then because of shipment or what have you, you've increased it to 19. Who does this? So they know what they are doing rather than what they are talking about. Somebody was also asking about the efficacy of the vaccine given the questionable source. Yeah, I agree with you, because what we're even thinking about was that as a country, if you are taking delivery of vaccines from, let's say, Russia, for the first 15,000 that arrive, and for your information, the 15,000 for the Sputnik vaccine, the first dose is different from the second dose. So if you have 15,000 or 10,000, it must be first dose 5,000, second dose 5,000. There shouldn't be a mismatch. But unfortunately for us, they brought 15,000 doses, 10,000 first dose and 5,000 second dose. So we can't use them. So it's there. So ask around if anybody at all has taken Sputnik vaccine. You know, and the least we could have done in order to authenticate the source, we have Russia embassy in this country. We could have liaised with them to check from the source whether these vaccines are coming from the right source. So there are a lot of things, if we decide to do the right thing, we can do. There are a lot of things. We have started with AstraZeneca. About 600,000 people have taken the first jab. If we need AstraZeneca, it's not only India. UK is there. Korea, we have a fantastic arrangement with Korea. And I mean relationships with Korea. Korea is producing AstraZeneca. You know, so I don't know what they are up to. And today I heard the minister say that they will still go ahead with dealing with the middlemen. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. So, how did you, minority, can get this question? Okay, so somebody is asking how sure are we that this vaccine is a genuine one. We will continue to follow and monitor the development. For example, the first vaccine we took delivery of was from COVAX, and that was free. And so that one we know the source. So we on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health will also do our best to monitor the situation. But mind you, we don't have the capacity to test the vaccines. We don't. So we are all at risk. Somebody also asked whether or not the vaccines have already been bought. In fact, as I told you, they brought 15,000 doses, and the LC has been effected for about 300,000 doses. And the minister responsible for finance is on record to have said that they've effected LC for that quantity of doses. So now, and of course, they have not delivered what we've made an LC for. So although about 15,000 have been delivered, but the rest hasn't been. And even the 15,000 that have been delivered, we've not used them. And it has an expiring date as well. And so that's how sensitive the issues are. And look, let me tell the minister responsible for health that we are not their children. They should grant us with that respect. That attempt to divert attention, speaking about all sectors of health, all the aspects of health. So we are going to organize press conference and divert attention so that the people who are talking about Sputnik and the vaccines will stop talking. Let's talk about how we are performing in the health sector, national health insurance. We won't follow him. What we are interested in at this point in time is the vaccine. After all, since they came to power, they have not started, continued, and completed a single hospital in this country. Even though they inherited those who were not completed, they haven't even completed them. So that argument can wait. We are in an emergency situation. We are interested in this Sputnik issue. We are interested in the vaccines. And so that attempt to divert attention will not wash. The right thing must be done. Thank you.
Well, viewers and studio audience, all too soon our time is getting up, and we may have to draw the curtains on this program. But there are some things that are very, very interesting. We have a president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Before he became president, he was foreign minister. He traveled around the world, meeting heads of states, other foreign ministers, and so on. Then he became president and has actually been elected as the chairperson of ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. Communicators of government and his party tell us that he has excellent relations with heads of states. Macron is supposed to be his friend. Alassane Ouattara is supposed to be his friend, and so on and so on. How he was an excellent foreign minister and so on. And yet, his government cannot negotiate for the supply of vaccines. We are not talking about the supply of nuclear bombs. Vaccines. At a time when 18 African countries have managed directly to engage the Russian government and are getting vaccine supplies from Russia, 18 African countries. Our own government is unable to do that. Our president cannot pick up a phone and call his counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Something must be wrong. And on that note, we'd like to put the curtain on this program, and we'd like to thank all of you at home, all of you on social media, and those of you who came into the studio for making it possible for us to have this lively and interesting discussion. Thank you so much for joining us, and please don't forget to keep your dial on Pan-African Television, because Pan-African Television is the biggest television platform in Ghana. So keep your dial on Pan-African Television, because you enjoy the best in news, best in current affairs, best in entertainment, best in everything. Bye-bye till we meet again next week. Bye.